Well, after more than 65 years, the Cascade County Sheriff's Office has closed out what they believe may be the oldest cold case in the country. MTN's Tim McGonigal has more.
Through the use of forensic genetic genealogy, the Sheriff's Office says Kenneth Gould is the most likely suspect in the rape and murder of 16-year-old Patty Kalitzke and the murder of her 18-year-old boyfriend in Great Falls in early 1956. On the evening of January 2nd, Kalitzke, a junior at Great Falls High, and her boyfriend Duane Bogle, a Malmstrom airman, ventured to a spot west of Great Falls near Wadsworth Park along the Sun River. The next day, 3 kids found Bogle's dead body with a gunshot wound to the head. The following day, a county road worker spotted what was identified as the missing body of Kalitzke about 5 miles to the north on Vineyard Road. She'd also been shot in the head. The investigation revealed semen in her body indicating she had been raped. Beginning in 2012, Sergeant John Cadner led the investigation to solve the murders. After exhaustive work, coming up with a suspect was a relief.
Emotionally, I feel great about the outcome of this case. There's a lot of people who have suffered over the years with the loss of their loved ones, and to be able to give them some type of closure does make me happy.
DNA testing eliminated several rape suspects. In 2019, through a company called Bodie Technology, detectives began coordinating to have more testing done on the semen collected from Patty's body. The process tested and uploaded DNA from unknown sources. 3 people were found to be genetically compatible. Included in that trio was a link to Gould. Although Gould died in 2007, his body was cremated and his children consented to submitting DNA samples, resulting in a match. Cadner says it's the circumstances surrounding the case that kept it alive.
You had 2 young, vibrant individuals that were well liked among their peer group, and there's still people that talk about it today. We get calls from people that went to school with them that you know, I just think it stays alive.
Gould had no known criminal history before or after the killings. During interviews, family members said they had no idea of any criminal behavior. In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
Thanks, Tim. Tonight at 10, we'll hear thoughts from another detective who worked the case before retiring.
After more than 65 years, the Cascade County Sheriff's Office closes out what they believe may be the oldest cold case in the country. I'm Tim McGonigal with the details coming up.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
And welcome into 10 o'clock news. I'm Tom Wiley in for Tim McGonigal, who is on assignment. The Cascade County Sheriff's Office has used DNA technology to close what they believe is the oldest cold case in the country. MTN's Tim McGonigal has more on this team effort that took more than 6 decades to complete.
Investigators poured their heart and soul into this case. I mean, they leave a little bit of themselves from what I've seen.
For nearly a decade, Sergeant John Cadner has been one of those investigators. At a press conference Tuesday, he announced that through the use of DNA technology, a 65-year-old cold case had been closed. In 1956, 16-year-old Patty Kalitzke of Great Falls was raped and murdered. Her boyfriend, 18-year-old Malmstrom airman Duane Bogle, was also killed. Detectives looked at 35 suspects, including crime boss James Whitey Bulger, who had been in the area and arrested for rape in 1951. Another suspect was Edward Wayne Edwards, the subject of a book by former Great Falls Police Detective John Cameron, who was linked to Lovers Lane murders in Ohio and Wisconsin. Eventually, the science pointed to Kenneth Gould, who lived a mile from Kalitzke and corralled horses just blocks from her residence on the city's southwest side. While Cadner closed the case, there were others who played a role, like Phil Madison, a supervising detective who worked on it for 6 years.
And did a review of all the stuff that was there, evidence and the case file, and decided to send some of the evidence materials in to the state crime lab for a review with the newer technology. And that's where we identified that there was some DNA.
For all the detectives who contributed, they were just doing their job.
Quite frankly, that's our duty. Our duty is to make sure that we solve these cases, solve them the best we can.
You put the right investigator on it and they keep working the case, they could ultimately solve it.
Really glad to see this one put to bed.
In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
Thanks, Tim. You can find a full timeline of events surrounding the case on our website, KRTV or KXLH.com.
Welcome back. The Cascade County Sheriff's Office recently announced that they had closed a 65-year-old cold case. They say it was the oldest cold case in the country. The Sheriff's Office says Kenneth Gould is the likely suspect in the 1956 murder of 18-year-old Duane Bogle and the rape and murder of 16-year-old Patty Kalitzke. Back in 1967, Gould moved to Alton, Missouri, where he died in 2007. Family members told Cascade County authorities they had no idea Gould was capable of the crimes, and neither did his neighbors.
I can't believe this stuff about Ken. I just plain do not believe it.
Edgar Wilson was Kenneth Gould's Missouri neighbor for 10 years. Gould and his family lived on a farm where he raised goats and sheep and was a well-respected horse trainer. Wilson called Gould an ideal neighbor.
He was an easygoing, soft-spoken. He didn't drink. He didn't raise Cain. I never heard him cuss in my life. Just a real good man.
Gould was one of 35 suspects Cascade County identified in their investigation. In 2019, DNA technology eventually led to Gould. 3 of his children would consent to submitting a DNA sample, resulting in a match. Sergeant John Cadner worked on the case for nearly a decade. He says there was no other known criminal activity involving Gould.
We did do a lot of research and looking to see if there was any unsolved or homicides in relation to where he was at certain times. We just were not able to find any.
Gould died in 2007 at the age of 79. His widow and one of her daughters still live in Alton, still coming to grips with the startling revelation.
I really feel for them. They are good people.
Now, just over a month after the killings, Gould sold the family's property, Great Falls property, and moved the family to Tracy, Montana, then Geraldine, before relocating to Hamilton, Montana in 1958. That's where they would stay before moving to Missouri.